Hi guys, it's Carissa. Today I'm making a video for you on the cost of IVF. And this is a video that I wanted to do for a few reasons, but the main one being that I felt like it could show a lot of women who think that IVF is so far out of reach in terms of cost that it may not be as expensive as you anticipate. It certainly is expensive. However, if you wanted to try it, at least you would know that there are places where it is on the low end. If you're doing anything in terms of research and you've read blog posts or you've seen other videos that say that IVF costs upwards of $20,000 or more for one cycle, you may find my video surprising. Something that I do want to make sure that I say, just as a disclaimer, and I know it's silly to even have to say this, but I'm by no means bragging or complaining. I'm just giving you facts. Something to keep in mind. I'm by no means saying that IVF is the best route or recommending IVF. I'm just telling you I did it and this is what it cost me. It did not work for me. And I'll get into my future with fertility treatments in a moment. If you're new to this channel or if you haven't seen any of my videos before, or even if you just need a refresher, I'm 31 years old and I have PCOS. That's the only real issue I've been diagnosed with against my fertility. I have been treated for thyroid, however, I don't have hypothyroidism. My thyroid levels are just a little bit high for what is ideal for pregnancy, so I am currently taking Synthroid to keep my levels lower. However, when I'm not trying to get pregnant, I will go off that drug. My husband is also 31 years old, and he is a perfect specimen of man. He is a wonderful person, and he's got so much sperm that his friends joke and call him Big Sample, because every time we've had to do a fertility treatment, when we get our results back, they're super, super high every time. And his motility and what's the other thing that they check for? I don't remember, but it's because I don't have to worry about it. Every time we get those numbers back, everything is exemplary. So that's just our history there. We started with natural cycles. We've done them between medicated cycles. But we've been married for 8 years and together for, I don't know, 12 or 13 years, and we have really never prevented pregnancy, especially once we were married. About 5 years ago, we started feeling concerned about having not gotten pregnant yet on our own, and I started doing things like charting and reading up on pregnancy and making sure that timing was appropriate. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we started looking into getting help through a reproductive endocrinologist. So we went to a different facility before. We did, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 Clomid cycles with them before I moved on to a new facility where we did a Femara cycle. I think I've only done one with them, but it could be 2. And I will be honest with you, the reason I don't know is because it's been spread out so long over such a long period of time. And I also just tend to block things out that stress me out and make me depressed. And the fact that we did all that and none of it worked, I'm just kind of fuzzy on the details. But we have done a minimum of 6 assisted cycles, IUI cycles with medication. I've never done an injectable cycle until IVF. I will start with the beginning of the cycle. And what I did was I just kept a running tally of all of the different charges that we ran into during the course of our IVF cycle. Some of this you may find is unnecessary or that, things that you wouldn't do or have to go through. But this is just how this happened to work out for us. Especially with the first appointment, I had an ultrasound. It was considered like a baseline check because in order to start IVF, I was waiting for cycle day 1, which wouldn't come and wouldn't come and wouldn't come. And then I decided that I would just call and get an ultrasound done to see where I stood because I was told I didn't need to actually get a period to start. They would just have to check and see where my lining was and my estrogen levels and either wait for a period or start one with Provera. So because that wasn't an official start to my IVF cycle, it wasn't included in the monitoring costs and I was billed $45 for that appointment. And that was my specialist copay at the time under my old insurance. Then I had to start birth control. I was on the generic form of Yasmin, unless Yasmin's the generic, I don't remember. But I was on that birth control for 3 weeks, and for some reason my insurance didn't cover it, even though I have prescription coverage. It might have just been how they billed it or how they sent it into the pharmacy, but I did have to pay full price for that, which was $76.68. And supposedly that form of birth control or that brand of birth control, because of the progesterone, is best for women with PCOS. So that's why that was chosen for me. Then I had to order my medications. I did get a form, an application from my specialist's office so that I could apply for something called compassionate care through the EMD Serono website or program, whatever it is. It is basically a way to say, hey, this is how much money we make, and this is the type of medication that we will be prescribed. Will you give us a discount for 1 calendar year on any of these medications? So Mike and I submitted our tax forms and the application, and we were approved for 50%, which I believe is the highest percentage that compassionate care gives. So for 1 calendar year, any IVF medications that we applied to get a discount on, and we end up using, we will get a 50% off discount. So it's not all of them though, it's only 2 I believe, but it's 2 of the more expensive ones, so that's very helpful. And because our insurance didn't cover any part of IVF whatsoever, every little bit that we could do to help bring the cost down was important. So the medications that we were prescribed came to a total of $1,602.82. And that was with a 50% discount on a couple of the medications. I was prescribed Lupron and Gonal F and Crenone gel and estradiol, and that might be it. I was also provided with syringes and a sharps container and alcohol wipes, things that they didn't charge for, but they came with the medications, and that was all sent to me in one package after I paid that amount of money. I also opted to do acupuncture for this cycle. I don't know how many visits are recommended, but I did 4 total during this cycle. Acupuncture, I believe, is normally $70 or $75 per session. However, I bought 3 sessions, so I received a discount, and that was $189 even. I did tip the acupuncturist all 3 times I went, and I tipped $20 each time. Some people don't tip acupuncturists. I couldn't really figure out the etiquette on that, but in my opinion, it was because it was done more as a spa procedure than a medical procedure because of where it was and all of that. That's what I chose to tip. I also had a 4th acupuncture procedure done, which was actually my 3rd one. I know that's probably confusing. I had 2 done prior to my egg retrieval, and then the day of my transfer, I had 2 like mini sessions done, one before and one after the transfer. They did it right in the same room. That was $70 just for that, for the 2 sessions before and after. That acupuncturist did not accept gratuity. So when I tried to leave a tip for him, I was told at the desk that he doesn't accept it. Then I don't know, I have it written down in this order, but before my egg retrieval, I needed 2 more days, I believe, of Gonal F. So I had a mini pen, like a half-dose pen, mailed to me, and that with my 50% discount was $222. And my monitoring, which was every single time I went in for an ultrasound or blood work or both, it was always both, I believe. That was a flat rate fee of $750. My IVF cycle itself, if I were to just pay for one, would have been $4,500. But you can also set up contracts where you get a discounted rate if you do multiple sessions. Mike and I opted to pay for 2, So we have a contract for 2 fresh cycles of IVF, and that is $6,000. So if you pay that in full at the time of, before the egg retrieval or at the time of egg retrieval, you receive a 5% discount. So it was $5,700 for 2 cycles of IVF. Now that $5,700 covers anesthesia, retrieval, ICSI, assisted hatching, transfer, cryopreservation, frozen embryo storage, and transfers for up to 1 year. So that would include up to 3 frozen embryo transfers in 1 calendar year. I do also have to use my second IVF before November of next year. If we're successful in our next fresh cycle, we are done. If we had been successful in this last fresh cycle, we would be done. The contract would be over. The contract is over when you give birth to a baby. That's basically what they say. However, if we do another fresh cycle and it doesn't take, and we are lucky enough after that to still have eggs frozen, we are covered for up to 3 frozen embryo transfers within the calendar year from that fresh cycle. And those are normally, without insurance coverage, $1,500 a piece, not including monitoring and medications. So the total cost for our IVF cycle with all of those factors was $8,715.50. And there are other things that happened as a result of or as part of that that I didn't include. For example, when I was taking the birth control pills, I had really strong chest pains. And I went to the emergency room, and that was a $50 copay. And I turned out to be fine, but I was worried about blood clots, and I was told that it is common, unfortunately, with women who have some of the same factors as I do who take that birth control. So that was something I wouldn't have ended up doing if it weren't for the birth control, but I didn't include that in my total. And other things just like gas money to drive back and forth to our facility, which is about 15 minutes away. That might seem silly, but my last one was like 6 minutes away and really close. This one's about 15 to 20 minutes depending on traffic, and then the one that we had to go to 2 days in 1 week for egg retrieval and transfer was about 2 hours away. I didn't include that. We do have our 1 more fresh cycle left. We are not sure when we will be doing it. Right now, we're going to take a break for the holidays because it's a lot of money to spend just before or after Christmas on monitoring and medication, because I would be willing to guess that, monitoring I know is $750 no matter what. But my medication is likely to be more expensive because I don't know that I necessarily responded very well to it. So my doses may be higher, which means I'll need more pens or whatever it is that they ended up deciding to do. So I just want to be prepared to take a big chunk of money out of our account, not feel stressed about it, and not have to worry about the stress of the holidays or any of that. I'm undecided on acupuncture for next cycle. I'm not doing it this cycle. This cycle I'm just doing an injectable IUI. So that's everything that we paid for and all of the costs that we faced doing IVF. I would say that's for 1 cycle, but technically it's not. It's like for 1.5, I guess. So if you have any questions, as I said, please let me know. And I hope that this video didn't upset anyone or offend anyone, but this is something that I did want to share for those of you out there who might think there's no way I can pay for IVF if it cost so-and-so this much or so-and-so this much. It may be more affordable than you realize, and it's definitely worth looking into. So thank you so much for watching, for your support, and for your love, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.